Hi guys, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner. I usually write out the astrological events, but honest to goodness, I actually had fun and I didn't have time to write it. And I had that I teach, and so at the very end of the month, it's very difficult for me to find the time because my teaching really consumes a lot of my day. And so I want to apologize that I'm just going to give you a video. I'm going to vlog about this instead of actually giving you guys something to read. I want to talk about Venus, which moved into Leo in retrograde, and then it's going to go out of retrograde and it's going to move into and then it's just going to stay in Leo. When a planet goes retrograde, that means that everything that planet represents is either delayed or a lot of those energies go in reverse. So I like to say that when it's in retrograde, it falls into the lower vibration of those energies. But there is some energies that even if the planet's sitting in reverse it means because that planet really likes being in that energy, that it can make you just reflect and in that particular area, but it can actually generate a lot of positive energy from this reflection period. So Leo is the planet that rules your heart, right? It is your identity. It is your internal strength. It is confidence. It is your willpower. It is your perseverance, right? It is, Leo energy is very self-oriented energy. And when it is in Venus, when it's not in retrograde, it's a very pleasure-seeking energy. It's all heart. So if it meets somebody it likes, it just wants to be in an immediate relationship with them. Like it really just wants to feel that kind of pleasure that they feel with that person all the live long day. However, when Venus is in retrograde in Leo, it pulls back people from our past that gave us those feelings. So again, that's not so terrible, right? Because maybe we had a beautiful karmic relationship, or we had a twin flame that we connected with when we were young. And then they left our lives because the timing was off. They taught us a karmic lesson when we first met them. And then when we reconnect later on in life, they turn out to be our twin flame or our soulmate, this fated relationship. And it's now okay to get back together with them. And because we've ascended, each one of us have ascended, each partner had ascended, then that union has a chance to actually manifest a positive result, right? Yes, you have a past, a difficult past. There are things to talk through and revisit when Venus is in retrograde, even in your heart. So this whatever comes up during this transit is going to be very heart-based. It's going to be very internal for you. So this relationship that could come back from the past, and it doesn't even have to be just a relationship as far as in, a partnering energy. It could be a past opportunity, financial endeavor, that you had a partner that comes back from your past and says, oh, you know what? I really believe in you. You just moved back, and you know what? I would really love to partner with you and to go off on this financial endeavor with you. And you have a better chance the second time around of this actually being something that manifests a long-term result for you, a career, life path, destiny for you. So it's a very positive transit and a positive energy. I really like Venus in Leo energy. There are some energies at the same time that are going off that can make this transit a little spicy for even me. And that is the Uranus in Aries is going to be aspecting this Leo energy quite a bit. In fact, you're going to have Mercury in Virgo, and you're going to have Jupiter in Leo, and you're going to have Venus in Leo, and they're all very close degrees. And so there are times that this is going to be all very unexpected. I don't think that the people that are coming back from your past, I don't think you thought you had a chance with. I don't think that you expected that you would ever get another opportunity to be with them. And so this could be one of those. It's almost like you're driving really fast and then you put your foot on the brake, right? And it's like that kind of jolt. It could be like that. You could be walking by and you could just suddenly see them, and it'd be like, I forgot how I felt about that person. And it could just, you find that you can't stop thinking about that person, and it's that jolt. It could mean that you just can't get your mind off of this financial endeavor or this creative outlet or this person. And these are things to revisit. The timing of the universe is a ballet. It really is just truly a ballet. And the ballet that I see in this particular transit is when you get a perpetual thought that keeps going on and on and on in your head. You remember something, you remember a person. Have you ever noticed that you'll just be sitting there and you just start thinking about a person all the time, and even though you haven't talked to them in like a year, they call? That is divine timing. That is divine. That's the universe working in your life, making timing happen. So don't let the past define your future. There is nothing in our past that can't be changed. We can't change our past, but we can change the outcome of what we learned from that past experience. We can change that. Even if we can't change it with that person, they don't want anything to do with us anymore, and that's over and done with. Looking back at the past and what happened in our past and accumulating all of the data, if I were to look back at my past, I have extensively, especially with all this Venus retrograde energy, which is why a lot of my readings have been very Venus-y driven, retrograde driven, is because much like you, I'm being inundated with energy that's saying, accumulate all the data and figure out where everything is going wrong or where everything is going right. And for a while that was in, what is our routine? What when you think about a routine, if I were to accumulate all the data on my relationships, I would say that most of my relationships I pick are complete narcissists. The males that I pick. And so that hit me like a ton of bricks. That was like, and my father, my childhood, my dad was a narcissist, an overt, malignant narcissist. So he was a very abusive, very painful man to live through. And so I live out that childhood experience now in my life. And if I were to add it all up, for one, I'm the problem. Let's face it. But for two, this stems back from my childhood. So this is all Leo-based energy. Leo energy is childhood energy. So I really want you guys to look at a couple things. People from your past and relationships from your past. Please take a look at that. Painful or not, reality-based or not, you need to take a hard look at what all that equates to. If you were to add it all up to this point in your life, what's the common denominator? For me, it was me. I have the choice not to make those choices. I had the choice to set a boundary and walk away. I had a choice to I want to be celibate for a year, and I want to find my personal power, and I want to be able to maintain it in relationships. And the way that I do that is through inundating myself with therapy and with, I want to change myself. I don't believe that we're brought into this world. I believe we have predisposed wiring, south node wiring. But I also believe that all of us are ascending. We are ascending. We're going to our north node. And so for me, it's impossible for me to settle for who I am now. Even today, I can improve it, and tomorrow I can make an improvement on who I am today. But you have to go through a certain amount of self-reflection. And every time a planet goes into retrograde, it's a reflective point. Look, if our planets were always going steadily forward, we wouldn't learn from our past mistakes. We would just get caught up in this constant perpetual forward energy of move, 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 move. We would be very self-oriented, and we would be always moving forward. But guess what? Sometimes going back home on Thanksgiving and Christmas is very nurturing and healthy too, because it roots us, it grounds us, it gives us that sense of a nurturing feeling of going back home on those days and having family traditions and religious traditions. Those are all very necessary in our lives. So those are all reflective periods. And so for many of you, there's just this amazing need to pull yourself backwards a little bit. And if you don't understand astrology, you don't understand why all this stuff right now is coming up from your past over and over again. It's very draining. It's because the planets are in retrograde. A personal planet is in retrograde. This isn't an outer planet. Outer planets, when they go into retrograde, yes, they affect us, but they affect us more on a global scale, on more of a, economic scale, or a environmental scale. But when personal planets go retrograde, that means that they affect us on a personal level. So with all this Leo energy, Leo-based, heart-based energy, I'm seeing that some of you have unhealthy routines that Venus and Virgo pointed out, and that are if you were to take a look back even further, now that we've dived into the fact we have poor coping methods and poor routines, right? That just happened. And because Venus was in Virgo, it moved out of Virgo, now is moving back into Leo. It's saying, yes, we have these routines, but why do we have these poor routines? Where do they stem from? And there's I got to tell you, I'm 45, over the years, it does go back to your childhood. Majority of the times when I look at charts, I look at the parents in the chart, and I look at that and I see, whoa, how did they grow up in their charts? Because you can tell that with certain energies. Moon's a nurturing energy. It's the mother energy, and the sun and Saturn, those are both energies that I look at to see where the father-based energies were, and the male masculine energies were. And I look at those energies and I can kind of tell you, how you grew up. And through that, I can tell you your personal struggles and where you fall. So revisit your childhood experiences. I want you to look at the common denominator. Come on, it's always you. Let's get real. Stop blaming everybody else for your personal problems. You are your personal problem. Even if you grew up with a horribly abusive, narcissistic father who beat you every day. Me. I make a choice in my life not to be narcissistic. I've made a choice in my life not to ever hit my kids in anger. I've made a choice in my life to learn. It was very difficult when I learned that I picked narcissists. It hit me like a ton of bricks. It was just a few months ago. I got a reality check. When Saturn moved back into Scorpio, it was like reality check 101. It was like, wow, I didn't know I was like that. Like I had that huge weakness in me. I cried. I remember just crying and crying about the fact that, I'm my personal problem. Very hard to face. But then once I faced it, and, I went through my little wow period, and then I looked at it and I went, I can change that. As long as I see it, as long as you know it exists, you can change it. Guys, the hardest thing to do is to see it. Look, I'm 45 and I just saw it. I don't want you guys to be like me and wait those many years and go through those kinds of painful experiences. Saturn is in my 12th house, so yes, most of my revelation was destined to happen after 40. Okay, yeah, I can see that in my chart. Yeah, but that's why you guys have astrology and astrologers, is because, you know what? Had I known about astrology, and had I known, had I had an astrologer read my chart, I would be able to pick these things out. For instance, I'll tell you a little bit how astrology works. So I have Uranus and Pluto in my 5th house, love and romance, right? It's in that romantic part, that Leo part of my chart. I always pick out unpredictable, spicy, ego-based, very fearful, broken, psychological. Usually most of my partners have psychological issues. That's all Pluto and Uranian energy. They're very unpredictable. They're very unstable. All that's unstable energy. It's all loss. Loss is in my love and romance part. So of course I experienced a lot of loss until I hit about 40, which is when Saturn kicks in and starts giving you reality checks, and then you start. And for me, my reality check was I date narcissists, and so once you put all the pieces together and you see what your issue is, then sweets, it's just a matter of changing it. Not saying it's easy. Not saying it's not a process and that your predisposed wiring is very difficult. It's very, very difficult to change. But it's also something that you can learn from. I'm not putting down people who are narcissistic because they suffered from a narcissistic injury to begin with. So they had a narcissistic parent who gave them a severe narcissistic energy, and to survive living with a narcissist, they had to become one. So I am not putting down narcissists. I am not putting down anybody who has any sort of psychological issue. I'm not. My dad suffered from a psychological issue, and it was passed down to me, who became codependent because of my dad's psychological issue. I am now have a passed down detriment, right? That doesn't mean I can't overcome it. It doesn't mean that if you were born to addictive parents, right, and as you grew up as a child, you were around an alcoholic every day, you're predisposed to be an alcoholic, right, or a drug addict. That doesn't mean you have to be. You can choose not to be, but you are definitely predisposed to be. So I think it doesn't matter at what year you figure all this stuff out and you put all these pieces together, although I think there's a lot of really wonderful energy in taking a look at all of this. Looking back at your childhood, looking back at your relationships. See, if one of those relationships speak to you and call to you, and you can't stop thinking about a specific relationship, it's probably good to talk to that person. Doesn't mean that you guys will get back into a relationship. I'm not saying that. Although there's a lot of positive energy that says you might be able to regenerate that relationship, give it a good rebirth, and progress it forward. Also could be a life-altering conversation with that person that allows you to put the pieces together, that the puzzle piece that you're missing, it might give you that last piece to make your puzzle complete. I know that happened with me. When Saturn came back around and it went back into retrograde, I was missing a very big piece, and that was that I didn't realize that I was the common denominator. I mean, I always realized I was the common denominator, but I didn't realize where I fell and what that actual common denominator was. Yes, I was part of that, but like, what part of me made that happen? Like, what drew me to it? Where was I predisposed to want that? Now that I know that, it's a matter of just setting up healthy boundaries in relationships, being able to have the personal power to walk away from them if my boundaries are not met. And it's intentionally seeking out partners that aren't Pluto-based and aren't Uranian-based for me. It's knowing those parts of my charts, those weaknesses, and thinking, you know what? I'm high off that person, and that person turns me on because, you know what? They're probably crazy. right? And this nice person over here probably doesn't give me that spark that I want, but you know what? They're stable and they're nice and they're good, and I'm going to fall in love for the right reason. I'm going to make that choice for that one over there. I'm going to stay away from crazy, okay? Because they make me crazy. And that's very easily done. So, I'm giving you all of this personal TMI information because I want you to see how all of the pieces fit together for me. And since I'm probably older than you, or many of you, if you can learn from where I went wrong, you know, that's why many, many cultures think that it is wise to seek their elders, is because they have all of this beautiful wisdom that they learned the hard way, or that they learned over the years, that has then set them up to be teachers to the youth, or people who are youthful in a certain area, youth-minded, they're childlike in a certain area. It's to expand that area. It's to expand their thinking. I know that I seek people all the time to help in areas where I am very childlike. I know I'm 45, but I'm very immature in a lot of areas. So I seek people who have more knowledge than me and are an elder in that area, so that I can learn from their experience, and then I want to pattern my life after that. That's the whole human experience, guys. Anyhow, I hope you got something from this. It's a beautiful energy. It's definitely going to be something that is a revealing energy. I don't think we're going to know the story. We're not going to know the story of what all of this means until September. I'm sorry, no. Until November. I think we're not going to know what any of this means. There is so much going to go down from July to September, from July to November, that our heads are going to spin after all of this energy is done changing us. And everybody's like, when does this energy end? It doesn't end. Okay, first of all, we're in a mutable environment. It's never going to end. We're always growing, changing, evolving. I'm 45 years old. None of my life has ever been dull, or there's always been something that came into my life that aided a bug that made me change, inevitably. So you're always going to be in a changing environment. It's how you adapt to energy and how you let it push you forward, and how you interpret energy that is going to make these changing roads so much more bearable. Anyhow, guys, look at past relationships. If something's calling to you and you're Leo-based energy, it's all heart, it's just full of romance, and you can't stop thinking about somebody, get in touch. There's a lesson to be learned there, or it's a reconnection. If there's a financial endeavor, I would say, if any of you guys have old creative outlets, pull them out of the closet and revisit them. This is a great energy. Something could speak to you through this transit it could be that you just start doodling again, and it's like, oh my gosh, I want to be a creative designer. You know, there's something that could happen just from the littlest action that you do that could change your overall career, life path, destiny very easily in all of this energy. Also, expect the unexpected, and expect opportunities suddenly drop in your lap. Whether or not you choose the opportunity, that's up to you. But there is grand opportunity in love, romance, money, creative endeavors. You know, if you're looking at a particular type of real estate, something could come up. If this is like a past, like say, oh my gosh, I used to love this old cabin that was up by my mom's house, but it was never for sale. You may just drive by it and it's for sale, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to have that cabin. Like, it could be that type of crazy energy, and it's so beautiful, so beautiful that I can't. I'm so excited for you. The energy is shifting. Just know that it is for the better. In the end, all of this will be for the better in your life, and you will become the person that you've always, hopefully, if you're not escaping and if you're not hiding from these truths that the universe is trying to show you, you are going to have a fabulous experience with this energy. I want to thank you for tuning into Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again.